From the front line of truth, where courage meets convictions, this is the Conservative Viewpoint.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of the Conservative Viewpoint. I'm Charlie, your host, the Country Conservative. Today, I'm here with you at Al Butchtan's. He is a candidate for the 46th District of the State Senate seat in Pennsylvania. We're going to have him, they're doing a question and answer here in Carmichael, Pennsylvania. It's a small place in Greene County. It's about an hour away from Pittsburgh. And we're going to see what all they're going to be doing here shortly. They also have Chris Stow from the Forgotten Flag Foundation. They're going to be here doing a question and answering thing. And I'm hoping to get something in here soon and to see if these guys will come and interview which I know they will. So remember one thing, I cannot see your comments, but we are going to see what the guys are going to talk about and what some of the questions they have, because we have Al, famously known as Butchtan, and he's got his platform for the 46th District Senate seat, and some of his topics that he goes over is for economic development, fiscally responsible state budget, building on energy infrastructure, establishing solutions to combat opioid crisis, grant funding appropriations, and there he is now. There is Butchie right here. So we are live Butchie right now, and this is my thumbnail that I made up so we could have. Yeah, so you're getting pretty good at this. I'm trying. We're learning, right? I'm learning. That's right. So, Butchie, why don't you tell everyone that what kind of things that you're looking for to help improve the state?
Well, to help improve the state, one is to get our gas tax down. We're the highest, depending on which week you look, we're either the highest or second highest in the state next to California. That's unacceptable. We're losing millions and millions of gallons to the surrounding states, which is riveting. So sometimes
Folks, we're going to get started. If you please rise
that's going to
for the national anthem.
Stand by, guys. We're doing a national anthem.
Stand in.
Here real quick, so stand by for that.
A moment of silent, I'm sorry. We're going to have a prayer, and then you guys can eat.
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You guys, go ahead and help yourselves to some dinner now.
Okay, guys, we're getting ready to get started here, so hold your questions and everything and the comments because I won't be able to see them while they're taking questions. Chris. Everyone, I'm bringing over Chris Dow. He is the founder and the president of Forgotten Flag Foundation. Chris, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about the foundation and where they can look you up?
Sure, you can find us at ForgottenFlagFoundation.org. We're on social media. That will lead to our Facebook site as well. And the link to our LinkedIn page as well. That's been up and running now for 2 months. And formed a corporation 2 months ago officially. How are you? Good. How are you? Thank you.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. No worries. You okay now? Okay, good. Okay. Thank you. So the vision came when I was in the military 10 years ago. I'm telling the story, a podcast. So I don't want to, just share it right now, but ultimately, this came to fruition on January, Epiphany on where I just looked up and decided that this is what I want to do. It took 90 days to raise $30,000 and erected the flag in 30, less than 90 days. So at that point, it's taken off. The bigger horizons, bigger than I thought. So now we have a corporation, we have an office in South Point, we have a deuce and a half, foundation aspect. So yeah, so it's growing fast, and our mission is expanding daily. But just certain things that happen in the world, and it's been an honor to be this for the board. Right?
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Chris. All right, guys. The Forgotten Flag Foundation is dedicated to restoring and elevating flag displays across the United States. Our mission is simple: to educate and inspire citizens about the importance of honoring the American flag, because we've had so much disrespect with the flag nowadays, and it's got to stop. It's too often worn and neglected flags are left to fade unnoticed. That's where they step in. They're restoring, replacing, and ensuring they die with the dignity they deserve through educational outreach and community-driven initiatives. They promote flag etiquette and to share a deeper meaning behind the nation's most enduring symbols. A proudly displayed flag is more than just a flag. It is a beacon of unity and a gesture of respect and power, emblem of national pride. So if you get a chance to, go look up the Forgotten Flag Foundation, see what you can do, and to support them and what they're doing and everything they're going to have. And of course, they're going to be doing a podcast too, to see what's going on. And that's anything you can do, especially for the flag, is what we need to get done. So hopefully these guys will get started here soon. And we'll hear some of the questions and stuff that they got going here. So we'll see what's happening here. So this is actually my thumbnail, but it's not in color. It's in black and white. That's what I printed it out in. For when I go to interview him, I'm going to get a time to go with him and do a personal interview with Butchie and try to get some more information. And we're going to try to get some more interviews with him before next year's election. So we're going to have a lot going on within the next year. And that's what we're going to look forward to and trying to get stuff done. So I know there's a Senate for Butchie. I think Senate can't remember what it is. It's Butchtan for state senate, I believe it is. So you want to go onto his Facebook page, check it out. And don't forget to like and everything for you guys. And we're going to do everything we can because the state needs some change. You got the corrupt Democrats in there doing everything that godly possible to ruin this state with illegal immigrants. And I know that personally from here in this little county. They let immigrants into our county. The crime has risen because of them. It needs to stop. Things have got to change because the Democrats running the state of Pennsylvania is ruining everything. We make sure we got to do that. We've got to get everything we can do to stop the corruption. It's as easy as that. So hopefully these guys are going, and I know they're streaming live also over there. Hey, what's happening? That's for sure, man.
So this is the article.
Not bad. Not too bad. Got a lot going on. This is Dave, guys. Say hi,
Hey.
Dave.
Hey, hi.
How about in here?
I mean, hello, everybody.
We're live.
Buckland, 46th District Senate.
There you go, guys, right there. We're going to keep that going, and hopefully you guys will get up here and get started here. And I know, I'm not sure.
So at this time, I'd like to introduce to you the candidate for state
There we go,
senate
guys.
of the 46th district, Mr. Al Butchtan.
I know.
Appreciate you all being here tonight. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna talk a lot of politics and a lot about infrastructure, money, you name it. We're gonna talk it all. What I was asked constantly is, why are you running, or why do you want to run for Senate? I have a pretty good life. I have a pretty good business. I was going to retire. People are suffering. So everybody says, oh, we need 3 or 4 things. That's why we do what we do. People are suffering. Wages are low. Population's declining. Gas is through the roof. Property taxes are through the roof. So when you have elderly people that might have to move in with you, it's bad. It's bad. It's not as good as everybody would make it out to be, especially in the 46th district. So we have a lot of work to do. Like I said before, it's a David and Goliath story. If anybody knows me, I'm the most persistent person on this planet. Persistence breaks resistance. That's my motto. I hound people. I will find money, whatever it takes to get the job done. So this is a monumental task, but with your help and with our message, I know we will be victorious. We have a lot of people here. We're being live streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. We're all over the place right now. So it really means a lot that you guys are here, and we're going to have a lot of fun here tonight. We have some excellent speakers. They are very knowledgeable in things that are not so well in our area and solutions to those problems. My thing is, when I started doing this, I'm like, I do consulting work for different companies or different people, and I try to help them the best way I can to succeed. So when you do that, you have advisory committees. I don't understand why we never had advisory committees for first responders to go to these people. Why are our senators not meeting with first responders once a month to find out what's going on, what they need? You have 44 townships. It's 44 people. Bring them together once a month. Get things straightened out. What we need. No different from the VA. We have a VA system that we have CEOs running a VA who have never been in the military. They need an advisory committee with VA people, with veterans. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And my thing is high taxes, crime bills, grants, COPS program, safety in our schools, taxes, first responders, games of chance, Also about the, there's a video out there, there was a $200 million deficit. And there's a video out there that my opponent wants to, there's two options to pay for this, the $200 million deficit. It's either by the taxpayers or it's by the 15 tracks that we have, racetracks, gaming. So it was said, so you can draw your own conclusion, that we should not go against the lifestyle of the jockeys and trainers. What's that mean to you? There's only one other option after that, coming after the taxpayers to pay for this deficit. So it's out there, all this stuff that you're going to hear about tonight is fact. I want people to fact check. I love that stuff. I'm data, that's what I did. Also, community service, I want to thank all the first responders that are here tonight. I really appreciate it. And also, the veterans, what you got done. And prisoners too. You guys. So I'd like to give just a quick rundown of what's going to happen tonight. So we have our House of Representatives, Mr. Cook here tonight, so we give him a round of applause. I have Scott Moore. He's a first responder. He does a lot of legislation. This guy's resume is incredible, and you're going to get really enlightened by what he has to say. He's here with us tonight from Washington County. He's at the end of the table, so give him. Chris is a great guy. I'm so happy that I met Chris Stahl. He is just incredible with his foundation of Forgotten Flags. They do an amazing job. He is a veteran and his whole group of veterans. So please give him a round of applause. And lastly, we have a really, really interesting guy. I met him through, I can't even remember, I met so many people. Scott Louderbaugh, he is a veteran. He was in the military for 20 some years, 27 years, 25. Okay, I didn't want to 25 years, but he's been in the Army, he's been in the Air Force, he's been everything. And he's advocating for a lot of things for the veterans who have some problems and for what they did to them with the COVID shots. He's been reaching out to people like that, to the senators, to Mastriano, to everybody. And he has a lot of interesting things that you'll like to see and hear from him too. So we are going to have some questions and answers. We'll let them talk for a little bit. And I want you guys to ask them questions because it's very informative what they have to say and where we need to go from here. We need to move forward. We need to get into the future here in the 46th district. So my first guest I want to bring up is our House of Representatives in the 50th district, Mr. Butchtan. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Not a problem. I'm gonna have a big mouth, so I like to walk around. For you that don't know the history behind me, this was not my first rodeo when I became a House of Representative. Years ago, when I was much younger, I served on the city council for the Butchtan, West Virginia, and that's where I kind of got my comeuppance, if you will. Somewhere around 2012, I didn't like the direction we were going in, so I decided to come off the sidelines and kind of get back involved in this quote unquote game that we play. I tell all my constituents, and I tell anybody who would listen, if you knew what I knew, you'd be sharpening your pitchforks and lighting your torches and headed to Harrisburg and DC. We have lost control of our government across the board, top to bottom. I want you to think about this for a minute. We believe that I'm the first ever Republican elected in Greene County to the House of Representatives. They can't confirm that in Harrisburg. pretty straightforward question 3 years ago. Either I am or I'm not. My own Southwest caucus does not invite me to their caucus meetings. So I had a caucus from Northwest up in Erie and around that area adopt me. Next thing I know, I was getting adopted by the caucus over in the East. So now I belong to 4 different caucuses throughout the state. I have this bad habit of telling people to their faces what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And I am 110% in and on and behind this man. He had a choice. He could have retired, went to Florida, lived a great life, and thought about it again. But he decided to get in this game. Not for his own gratification, not for his own glorification, but to do right for we the people. The last time I checked, it still starts with we the people, doesn't it? Now, he cannot do it alone. I cannot do it alone. It's time for us citizens to get back in the game. It's time for us citizens to take back our government. We need to let them know who works for who in this arrangement. Yes. We're confused in Harrisburg and DC about who works for who. The other thing is I had a great baseball coach in high school. And he lined us up one time on both times. And he said, gentlemen, the Creator in his infinite wisdom gave you 2 ears, 2 eyes, and only 1 mouth of purpose. Our elected officials have too much of a problem running their mouth when they ought to be shutting it up and looking and listening to who the boss is on this whole deal. They don't want to hear that in Harrisburg. The elected officials, they don't want to hear that in DC. The people that are in there for their own gratification. We need to get behind this man. We need to work hard. It's not an easy walk. The way that I got elected was I did not have money. I did not have that political support. But what I did have was time and the ability to go knock on doors and listen to people. 20,336 doors later, I was the first elected Republican in the 49th district in over 65 years. The only place I know success comes before work is in the dictionary. So please join us going down the road, get behind him. Little bit means everything, but there's a lot, a little. Thank you so much for being on.
Really appreciate that, Bud. And just so you all know, last week we had an event down in Washington at 19 North, and I officially announced my endorsement for Bud, 100% behind him, and for Maria Batista for judge. Judges are very important. Sometimes they're more important than the politicians. You really have to think about your judges. And when you came in today, you've seen the signs out there. I can't remember exactly what they said. Vote no. Okay, that vote no coming up in November. What that is, these judges that get in office, I call it office, but they get into the judicial system, they're in there for 10 years at a time. Well, they can re-up that. They don't have to be re-voted in. It just carries over and carries over. You could have a judge in there for 30, 40 years. So that is not fair. And if you get a liberal judge in there, it could be really bad for you. It could be bad for all of us, especially when crime is out of control. And the police officers that are here, I don't know how they do their job because they're hindered in doing their job. They arrest somebody, they go, they get arraigned. Sometimes there's no bail. The cashless bail is a joke. That stuff needs to go away. What's the sense of arresting? Like, just like the guy, I feel so bad. I mean, I was crying about the girl on the subway train or the train, whatever it was, the North Carolina. The guy was in jail 14 times and released. I mean, that's just not right. So a lot of these little policies that's been put in place, they fail. It's time to move forward. It's time to get it right for our people, the American people, the patriot people. And that's the only way it's going to work is with the judges. We have to get good judges in there. And Maria Batista, I endorse her 100% fully with everything that she's doing. So please check her out online. Hers is a statewide election, so she's all across the state. With that said, too, I'd just like to talk a little bit about the grants. So grants, how many here know how grants are funded? Just raise your hand if you know how grants are funded. 4 or 5 people. Grants are funded by you, your tax dollars. So when you see all these millions and millions of dollars out there on the street going to these pet projects, you're paying for them. So per capita in the areas that we're in, we're paying a lot of taxes. Would you agree? It's out of sight. It's almost to where you can't even live here anymore because the taxes are so high. So these grants are paid for by you, that you're trusting somebody in office to give that money out. To give it out to who? So in our area, we're really down on the grants. Per capita, we probably get the least amount for what we pay in taxes. But that's the kind of stuff I want to change. It has to be an even playing field. And if there's so much money out there for grants from your tax money, maybe we ought to have less grants and put the grants to where the first responders can use them. And I'll bring up another guy up here in a minute who's going to tell you about areas that we need them in. We need a lot of grants for different things for our fire, for our police, for our first responders, and even the military. There's a lot with that too. So grants are a good thing, grants are a bad thing. So we have to really watch. It's a fine line who gets the money. You'll see election time, a lot of grants are going out there right now, more than you've ever seen. It's in the paper all the time. My opponent has a picture in there. 500,000 here, 200,000 here, all this and that. That's not the way it should be. So some people really need them. There's projects, you know, with kids, with the youth, with the my sister-in-law's involved with the Helping House. They need grants. They need stuff like that. For firemen, they need some grants. But it's a fine line of what we need to do. I don't believe in taxing your gains of chance. We're taxed enough as it is. So if you do your games of chance, and that would include me, the Lions Club, the fire departments, any of the police, why would you tax the games of chance on a 501c3? They're trying any way they can to generate more capital to keep their government, because we're losing our population. With our populations leaving our tax base is what supports them. The government is too big. It needs cut down. Pennsylvania is one of 9 other states. There's 10 now. I just found out today there's a 10th state that has full-time legislators. Only 10 states out of 50 have full-time legislators. I bet you can't guess what states those are. They're all blue. All blue. So I'm for term limits. I really am for term limits. Certain things really need to happen. Senate, Congress, all the way up through needs to happen. My friend Bud here, he's in a different situation because it's the weirdest thing ever. He has to run every 2 years. So I started my campaign in July. You start a year before you're even ready to go out and vote. You have to start a year before. So he's having trouble. He does 1 year of legislation, and then he's out on the campaign trail trying to get reelected again. So it's a neglect, not just to him, but to everybody here. That needs change. That should be a 4-year term. And then I don't believe in it. If you can't get it done in 4 or 8 years, you're never getting it done. Let's be honest about it. It's just the way it is. You're there for a career. And most of the politicians that they can get mad at me, they really haven't had any other career about that. And it's career politicians. So that's my spiel on that. And I really appreciate you guys. And I'd really like to bring up our next speaker. And it's Chris with Forgotten Flags. And he is a patriot and he is a good guy. You're all there. Yeah, hold on.
Good. Everybody doing? So my name is Chris Vaughn, like Al mentioned. We were fortunate enough to meet right up the road at the air show a month ago. Just by chance, just by fate. We all walked by him and I turned around and said, I want to know that guy. So walked up to him, and ever since then, he's been a great mentor of mine, and I appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you very much. So I'm a Army veteran, founder, president of the Forgotten Flag Foundation. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on how this came about, and kind of walk you through quickly where we're at present day. So I came back from my first duty. It was over in Korea, in South Korea. I went from E1 to E4, arrived stateside in Colorado Springs, Fort Carson, Colorado. So I wanted to make starting as quick as I could. So I go up to squad, and there's a parking lot that said Soldier of the Month. I said, well, I'm going to park there. I went to park in that spot. So I said, first sergeant, how do I get that spot? He goes, well, you have to win Soldier of the Month. What's that entail? He goes, well, we're getting this booklet. It's that big. You study these questions, you go to the board for the 9 sergeant majors, you answer questions, compete against other soldiers, and you win. Easy enough. Get the book, go home. I'm not that smart, so I have to read it 1,000 times over to remember anything. So here comes the day, I'm in my class 8s, walk into the room, do my drilling ceremony, I sit down, at attention, 9 sergeant majors. Right out of the gate, the first question was, how many trucks are on a military post? I know some of you heard this before. So anybody know that answer? Anybody at all? I know you did. So here I am sitting there. I'm like, I missed that. Right out of the gate. So I'm thinking, I'm trying to remember. I'm thinking a lot. So I came up with the numbers like 13,000. He goes, no. Damn, here we go. So he goes, what's in? Well, I take that back. He goes, well, there's only one truck on the whole post. It's front squadron headquarters. And it's the ball on top of the flagpole. I said, I'll be damned. So the next question was, he goes, what's in that? I said, Sergeant Major, I'm not going to bullshit there. I don't know. He goes, there's a bullet, there's a match, and a razor blade. And that bull in the truck. He goes, what it's for? And I'm like, at this point, I'm not going to bullshit him. He goes, well, back in the 1800s when we first had, posts, and your post get taken over, if you were the last soldier on that post, you dropped the flagpole inside of there, you took the razor blade, cut the flag, right? Then burned it and used the round to either off yourself or defend yourself. So from that point on, I was enamored with flags and tradition. So I knew moving forward, I wanted to start something. So fast forward 30 some years, I'm sitting on the porch. I live in Canonsburg behind Saracens. I had a couple pops, and I look out in the horizon, and the leaves have just fallen down, and there's a rusty flagpole, a 90-foot flagpole. It's been there for years. So if something came over me, and I knew I had to do something with the flagpole. So fast forward, that was in January, and I woke up one morning, it was January 15th, and it was like a bolt of lightning hit me. And I had this idea, so I'm just driving to work in Morgantown. I get there, I started writing things down. I started calling my friends, throwing up, trying to just talk to them so fast. They're like, you're crazy, man. What are you talking about? So what's gonna happen? So that seat was planted there. And then there's a garage that overlooks the flagpole. There's like 10 guys there that drink beer every night. And they could solve every world problem in the world. Why the Steelers lost on Sunday? What's wrong with the country? And they wanted to cut the flagpole down and put it in their parking lot. And I said, not happening. So at that point, I knew I had to move. And I did. So I teamed up with Dave Rohn, the mayor of Canonsburg. And within 90 days, we raised $30,000 and basically restored that 90-foot flagpole that was built in 1953. So from that point on, I knew I had to go. Like God was telling me, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. And I'll give you a quick story from that ceremony that we had. So our first guest of honor was a World War II veteran. He was 101 years old the week of the ceremony. 101. So I'll never forget the day he drives right up to the chair, and he has kyphos, so he couldn't stand straight up. He got out of the truck, looked at the honor guard, he stood straight up, and was so happy to see that those people, the honor guard, everybody there. And I'll never forget once that flag went up above on his face. I thought out that day I'd be a happy man. So that's the kind of gratitude I have for men like him in this country. But a quick story on that is his grandson called me on Memorial Day. Says, "You're never going to believe this." I said, "What is it?" He goes, "Well, my grandfather has the original cast eagle that was on top of the original flagpole. So the ball, there used to be an eagle on top of it. And Ted Schrinkstrom got mad because the flag would throw up and rip. So they cut it off and threw it in the trash. So lo and behold, one day he found it in the trash and put it up his yard right fence post. And it was there to that day. I went up and cut it off. That's in my office right now. So the chances of our guest of honor coming to, getting that first eagle on top of that flagpole is just one of the, things that have happened to me in the past 6 months. So with that being said, I appreciate everything that you do. And I just want to end with this. And so this foundation is based on, we're politically neutral because we're tired of all the rhetoric going back and forth. So what I try to do is put out, I'm against a Democrat. And if you can't agree upon a flag, we got problems. Right? We got problems. That's the start. And I know Val doesn't like to hear that, but I'm right down the middle. I know once I pull that lever, I can control what I can do in our community, and we have to fix it fast. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, we have a website, provideflagfoundation.org, and I have cards and things up here as well.
Actually, so there's flags like this one here. This flag's been with me since I started.
Right.
And it has some issues. So you guys, people that have flags that have issues, do you take those flags? How does that work?
Yeah, so that was one of our missions starting out, and that's a great question. So I had this Girl Scout reach out to me about a month ago, and she was looking for a Silver Star. And she wanted to teach the troop of little Girl Scouts underneath her how to dispose of the flag property. So that was my first ever question I taught via our website. And it was that little girl, which is what we're trying to instill in the younger generation so we can promote patriotism. But I told her, I sent her the US flag code on the proper way to get rid of our flag started, which most people don't like to take that upon themselves. I sent her that and told her just to take it to a Legion or anywhere like that. And then they'll take care of it, they'll do the hard work. So that's a good question.
Any other questions for Chris? They have a really good foundation. I actually am their spokesman. I do a lot of stuff to try to get their word out. And the main thing with Chris, as far as any foundation, is funding. And they need a lot of funding. They have a really cool. Did you bring it here?
No. So, well, the first time we met Al, and then Cheryl, you were there. My brother brought me a 48 star flag. I've been seen as a kind of a gift to the foundation. And then we were honored on 9/11. And in fact, the kid, he's our secretary. He's 24. And the day before the ceremony, we were flying the flag to 50 by 25, the flag we dedicated. And it was just too big to fold up the right way down below. So we took it up in front of Sarah's. And we had more people. And I see this young kid get out. And he comes up to the flag and he's just like, he goes, I've never seen a flag that big in my life. He goes, I collect flags. He hands me his card. So that night I go home, I finally settled down about 11 o'clock, had a beer, I read his card, I still have it in my pocket today. And his tagline is raise the flag, raise the standards, turn it over to the flag on the back. So this kid's 24 years old. I know all of him part, the foundation. And Jacob, he was there last week. So instead of getting video games for Christmas, his grandmother would give him flags. And it so happened to have that we showed last Thursday for a 9/11 tribute. He had a flag that's a 9/11 flag. I should have brought it. But it was basically the stars and the stripes were of all the people that had fallen throughout that terrible time. And it was pretty flag. So it's nice. It's on your website. So that's just another example of how that patriot and I crossed paths. And when I call him a patriot, he is a patriot. So I appreciate it. Anything you can do for us, you can do anything, just pass the word on. Go to our website and see what we do. He does a great job doing all IT stuff. I'm not good at it, but any way you guys can help, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Make sure you go to his website and check it out.
So Chris has a flag that I've never seen before. It was Charles. It's 48 stars. Has anybody ever seen a flag with 48 stars? So it's a pretty old flag. And it's really neat to get to see it.
Question. Yeah, you guys think, this Guardian flags, when they have lives going on, those people that you thought. What do we do in our state? What do we do in our state? The federal shouldn't have to take care of it. Our state should take care of some of this. These people shouldn't be allowed to do something like that. I know we got freedom of speech, press, religion, all that. Burning the flag, that's something there that nobody in here should even want to let that happen. I wouldn't let it happen.
I'm gonna go both ways. At first, when I see it and I hear, I get irate. Okay, but this is the issues that's my stomach right here. I'm not going to talk about LGBTQ. That's for him to take care of, right? Or abortion, or taxes. I don't want any part of that. But this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I look at it two ways. If it's done in a time that we're in real distress, like for instance, when the situation happened at the Capitol building, something like that, I don't agree with that. But it's why we fight wars. Okay? That's why men die. That's why people serve the country, for them to have that right. Do I agree with it? No. But it's one of those things that I know where I stand. At the same time, I fought for that right. And I'm proud to do it. So, for instance, my nephew graduated West Point in May. We drove into West Point and there were protesters in front of West Point. These kids didn't even know they're kids going off a fight, and they were protesting. But my first reaction is I want to get out of the car and get right in their face. But I'm like, man, this is what we fight for. So we can do this, peacefully. But when you start spitting on it, stomping on it and doing things like that, that's a whole different ballgame. So that's a great question. But that's what we fight for.
I think there is an executive order that was just.
There was. President Trump did sign an executive order, which is,
I just think it's disrespectful.
it absolutely is, but it's a right.
A lot of people died.
Yeah, absolutely. That gentleman back here is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Proof. So that's a good question. But if you guys have any other questions, reach out to me. Our phone number's on the website. Charlie, thank you for doing this. Thank you for having.
Chris has been a really good friend. It was so weird how we met. There's an event. I try to get every event that I could possibly get him everywhere. I'm like, exhausted, then when I get to the event, I just get energized. It's like a switch. And he's like, "Hey, what do you do?" He read his shirt, I think, and he's like, and it just from there, it just started. It's been months now.
Yeah.
And it's been a really, really good relationship working together. That's what it's about, working together. You know, work with our township with Brian and Sandy and the rest of the townships and Jefferson. You know, we have to work with local government, you know, then your next step up and in your commissioners and everything like that. People don't understand how much power that our commission or our township supervisors have. A lot of power. It's, again, reiterate back what Bud said. If you don't have the right people in place, you need three people. You need your House of Representatives, you need your state senator, and you need your congressman. Then you need your feds. You have to have those people to get anything accomplished. They all have to be aligned. And right now, there's a disconnect. And you know, two fight one, this can't get through, that can't get through. We can't have that no more. We have to push through it and make the economy better, make our community better. It's all about the community. It's all about trying to get our population back in here. And then, you know, I wanted to talk a little bit about the state police too. You know, there's some state troopers here, and a state trooper, I don't know if most of you know, they don't get Social Security when they retire. Do most of you know that? They do not get that. All they get is their pension. And that pension stays the same pretty much for their whole life of retirement. So I have a next door neighbor, Charlie Gallatin. He is retired. He's been retired for 20 years. His pension is $50,000 a year. In Carmichael's, he's single. His wife passed, rest her soul. How long do you think $50,000 a year he's going to be able to maintain his house in Cumberland Township? Not long. Because what had happened, his son had to take over his house. His daughter took over some of the property behind it. They get no COLA increase. They get no cost of living increase. There should be a mechanism in there where there is something for the state pensions where, I mean, let's be honest. There's 8,000 immigrants in this area that are on social services, and these aren't my numbers. These are census, and this is our state government. You can look it up. Please fact check me. It's $340 million to take care of these people that aren't even citizens. They're here illegally. So we can find money for them, but we can't find money for our own people. Is that bizarre? And I'm all for a plan to get them to work here, but it has to be a plan, a right plan, where it's a step down. If you can show you had meaningful employment for 6 months, show your pay stubs, your visa is expired, we can extend your visa, because make no mistake about it, we do need workers here. We are short on workers. I talked to a fellow today, I won't mention his name, Buck, and he can't find workers for his company to grow. So the problem is we don't have enough work, companies can't grow, or we don't have enough employees, companies can't grow. So is there a reform for immigration? Yeah, it's possible. It's common sense stuff. You have to be a non-criminal, non-violent, or you go. Show meaningful employment, do a step-down process. I mean, it's very simple. I don't understand why it's implemented that way. The way it is now, it's a little bit different, but we are going to need people in this country because just through attrition, we're losing population. I think last year was the first year we didn't have population growth ever in this country's history, ever. Just think about that. We were stagnant, stale, we lost. So just with Pennsylvania, we gained 234,000 residents in the state of Pennsylvania. That's pretty good, right? It's a lot of people, 250,000 people almost. They don't tell you we lost 279,000. That's what they don't tell you. And that's through attrition, and that's through everybody leaving. Why are they leaving? Taxes are too high. There's no infrastructure here. Parks, recreation, this and that. I mean, jobs. So I know Brian and his crew, they're trying to do whatever they can with whatever money they have. And they're doing a great job with the parks, trying to get them upgraded and get everything ready. People want that. But my wife and I bought our house in Florida. We looked at taxes, we looked at crime, we looked at parks. It's a big deal. When you have a young family trying to move to an area, is there a park? So, and I commend you guys on what you're doing, and that's a good thing. And hopefully we can get you guys with Bud and myself, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, that we can really make some things happen here, and not just here, it's in Washington County and Beaver County. Because Beaver County, they're hurt too. There's 3 townships there. They need some help too. It's everywhere. Everywhere needs help. And, you know, we have a budget. Our state budget still isn't passed. The budget that they have, we're about 45 to 47 billion dollars. I think we were 6.5 billion. They said they balanced the budget. They didn't balance the budget because we had a deficit of 6.5 billion dollars. I don't know how that works, but the numbers are there. So the Senate just forced through the state budget. What they did not do any increases. So they took last year's numbers and they forced them through to this year in 44 days late, mind you. So that means every school district lost a cycle and a half. That means they'll have to borrow money, and we, the taxpayers, will have to pay for that interest on the money that's borrowed. Now this can go on and on and on and on. And the interest is lower. They do get it, but it's a lot of money. So my question to you guys, if this holdout for the new budget goes July, August, September, October, November, December, that's $18 billion. You know how much interest is on $18 billion that's being held? A lot. Millions, almost $1 billion. So my thing is, the school districts are borrowing money from the banks. We met with them already. We have no choice. We're going to run out of money. We have to pay interest on that money. The state's getting interest on the money that the taxpayers have already given them. So why don't they reimburse us that tax, interest tax that we paid them, that they made on that money, back to the schools to alleviate that tax increase that is the interest that we're going to have to pay? Does that make sense to you? It's pretty much all common sense, but I don't understand why they don't do it. So that's my spill on that. We have a lot of things going on. They, like I said, the state, they need to up their stuff as far as taking care of our police, because we have a shortage of state troopers. We have a shortage of firemen. We have a shortage of, you name it, first responders. We have a shortage all the way around. Because it's a tough job. Nobody wants to do it. You get ridiculed. And thank God we don't have so many issues they have in Charleroi. Oh, that's a mess. We toured that town down there. That's not right what happened there. But my opponent will say it's all doctors, lawyers, and teachers. Not true. It's not true at all. You can't put that many people in one area that speak no English, that can't read road signs. There's car accidents down there every day. I get a text message, but there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. They don't know how to read. How they get a driver's license? Who gave a driver's license?
Corruption.
It's corruption and fines. And that's what I want to stomp out. And what one of my friends said, I hope you get in there because you're like a Tasmanian devil. You can ask Brian, no, that's because when I go on that school board, I know it's not about personal, it's business with me. I will, it's for the people. It's what's right for the people. So that's what we have to do. We have to hold our governments accountable. And you guys have the most power of anything. Your vote. And it's the people that don't vote that are the ones that are constantly bitching. They don't vote. You have to vote. I think the voter rolls in Washington County They have 207,000 residents. There's only 27,000 of the Republican side. Green County's about 9 to 11, and Beaver County's 3. You're talking about 276,000 in Washington. I think our population's down to 32,000 and change. And Beaver County's, I'm not quite sure what theirs are. So we need people to get out and vote. If you really want a voice back, and that's why I'm here, a voice we need, change we need. You have to get out and vote, and you have to force people to get out and vote. So anyways, my next person I want to talk to is Mr. Scott Moore. He's a first responder. This guy's got, I told him, I said, I didn't even print out. I didn't even print out the resume, so it's just incredible. It's incredible.
And it takes its toll on you if you do it. Trust me.
Come on over, my friend.
Good, everybody? Yeah. My name's Scott Moore, and I'm from Chartiers Township. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what I've done in my life so you understand where I'm coming from when I speak about this. I was a paid firefighter and paramedic for Steel Corporation for 30 years, volunteer firefighter and paramedic in the city of Weirton. That included being fire chief at a volunteer fire department for a number of years and worked in an ambulance and rescue squad. Tri-State Rescue and Recovery Dive Team I started from the ground up. It was a rescue diving team that took care of all rescues on the river. I actually procured a $175,000 fire rescue boat from the U.S. Coast Guard that would fight fire and do rescues on the river, for the Ohio River. Once Weirton still shut down, I had to find employment elsewhere. So I went from Weirton, which I had done most of my business in, and moved down to Charleston, West Virginia, where I worked out the Capitol for Homeland Security. And I worked there for about 5 years, but I was gone most of the time. My lovely wife sits back there, and I was gone for months and on end. She was not military. Maybe it's time you find something else. So I became a West Virginia State Parole Officer for the Northern Panhandle of West Virginia. And that's where I actually retired from. So I had a lot of experience. I was also deployed to Katrina. I was there day 2 and actually was there for 8 weeks. During that time, I found out how the shortfall of my government kind of negated to give me the tools that I actually needed. They dropped us off and said, there's nothing here. The military gave me a 60-pound pack with stuff that I'd never seen before in my entire life and said, if you need anything else, commit crimes. So we broke into pharmacies, we broke into people's houses, and we took stuff that we actually needed to perform our jobs. So being a first responder has been very deep and rooted in me. And one of the first things I wanted to talk about was Washington County 911 new emergency radio system. They're reinventing the wheel in Washington County. They're going from a VHF system to an 800 megahertz trunking system. If you don't know the difference, it's like night and day. You're going to have to replace every handheld radio. You're going to have to replace every pager, every mobile radio in every unit, and every base station that the different entities have within their possession. That costs money. For example, they had 24, I wrote these things down, so I made sure that I was accurate to be fact checked. There was $24+ million that was original. And some of that, actually $24.445 million. They had spent some of that on MRA. MRA was the original person or company that designed the system in Washington County, which is the VHF system, which covers maybe 30 to 50%. The rest of it is dead areas where you don't have sometimes cell phones or radios, sometimes both. So this system at 800 megahertz
is a good system. Don't get me wrong. It will accomplish what we're trying to get it up over 90% coverage. But the bottom line is it's going to cost money. Now, if you take every department, every entity, emergency response entity in Washington County, how far do you think 24.445 million goes after they rebuild the entire dispatch system at the dispatch center? And then you go out and you figure out how many portable radios each entity has, how many pagers each entity has, how many mobile radios they have in all their vehicles, and how many base stations they have on top of that. How much money do you actually believe is going to be left to replace every single one of these to bring this whole project to 100%? It's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen because there wasn't enough foresight. They let them spend on this RNA, I think it was like $9 million out of the monies already. So that drops it down even farther. That they've already spent on something that didn't work to begin with. They were going to put up an additional 15 repeater towers. To explain what a repeater tower is, it's when you energize a radio signal and send it back out with the same energy so that it travels farther. If you have to put up 15 of those and you still don't get over 90%, tell me what you've accomplished. Nothing. They actually had a group of first responders from police, EMS, and fire, both get together in a council and come up and tell them this is not going to work. So they decided to go with the 800 mega system. So, and some of the information that I do have here is where the county commissioners actually turned around and said that these communities and townships have to prepare. They said this will be about a year and a half or so to let you know how to start budgeting now, because this county is only going to be accruing costs, but each individual fire department, EMS, and police department are all going to be accruing costs. This comes from our county commissioner, Nick Sherman. And this is a quote that was in the newspaper. So I don't know how many fire departments we have here, how many police departments we have here, or EMS departments we have here. Can you all afford to drop everything you're doing and take your money and stash it into communications? I don't think so. Because you got training, you got bumping gear, you have all kinds of other things that you have to invest your money in first to save lives. Not the radios don't save lives, they do. But the equipment saves that person's life to be able to save other people's lives. And that's pretty much it on the 911 system. I've been following this. I've actually gone and talked to people on this. I haven't found one person yet that said, this is a good thing and it's going to work, but how are we going to pay for it? It's not free. And now, also, you have to maintain a VHF system for 2 years in the transition. So you're paying money out to transition over on top of that to maintain your repeater system and your old systems while you're putting the 800 megahertz in. You can't just cut it off and say, ta-da, here we are. It doesn't work that way. You have to gradually do it. And it's going to take time. And it's going to take money. Every entity out there that's a first responder, I don't care whether you're police, fire, EMS, all of you are going to be expected to step up, either go to your municipality, go to your county, file grants. That's another thing. We talked about grants. How many municipalities here have actual grant writers? I don't know of any. I asked the county, how many grant writers, excuse me, I've got it like cold here. How many grant writers do you actually have employed? They might have one or two. So is that a full-time job where they find out what grants are available? They track them, they write them, they find out who needs them the most. Fire departments, EMS can go to them and say, hey, I need a grant. I see this grant's available for $10,000, $20,000, $150,000? No. So how are we supposed to pick up the slack on this 800 megahertz system? And grants, I'll be honest with you, we get very few, to be honest with you, around here. I've actually filed several grants and written several grants. Out of all of that, I've only gotten one, and it was a sizable one. But out of all the ones I wrote, that's the only one I ever got. Because we don't have enough diversity. And we don't have enough of these different things that they want. So consequently, somebody's got to eat the price. So who's going to eat it? Taxpayer. That's where the money's going to end up coming from. And that brings me to topic 2. We have a desperate need for grant writers. Each municipality, each government entity should have a grant writer, or at least a paid grant writer that they hire as needed, to be able to write grants for all these emergency responders. And they should be able to write these grants, track these grants, find out when they come available, file them, track them, and then immediately file the next grant behind it, so that if they don't get this one's still in the works. We don't do that. We sit back. A lot of grant money, even like the House of Worship grant money, one of my other jobs was I was in charge of 3 Catholic churches for safety and security. You know where that grant money went? Back in the kitty. Nobody got the grants, and nobody filed for them because nobody knew about it. Nobody knows what's actually available to fund first responders that are actually out there doing the job, putting their lives on the line, leaving their families during the holidays, and out there every day to save lives, protecting property as well. They have done absolutely nothing to support the first responder. And I'm sorry, that pisses me off. The third thing I wanted to talk about is volunteer retention. Volunteer retention is deplorable. It's very hard to get people to say, I'm going to get out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to run down there, I'm going to fight that fire, and by God, if I get hurt, I'm going to lose my job. The only thing I'm going to get is workman's compensation and what little insurance and how long it lasts. People look at things like that. What's in it for me today? And the only way that you can retain that, and I was looking through some of the legislation that's been proposed, and but this is your alley here. We talked about some of the bills that actually are in the system. Okay, there's one for traumatic stress injury, PTSI. There's one here, the referendum, municipal career and fire departments and volunteers, loan assistance, VLAP. And they can go on mental illness. Enable counties to offer tax credits against personal property, liability, active volunteers for fire and EMS companies. Anybody get a tax break? I don't know anybody gets a tax break. Then you have increased loan limits for volunteer fire and EMS services through the Volunteer Loan Assistance Program. How many departments have actually filed for that? Maybe to pay for the 800 megahertz. And I could go on and on. But none of these really actually encourage somebody to join a volunteer unit. If you're in a career unit, you have some benefits, not that much more than what a volunteer is going to end up with. And the worst part about it is, these are all, it says the House is expected to take this legislation up in October. So that means it's not even actually done yet, is that correct? These are not in place. All these things that I read, and I got it all right here, you're not getting squat. That's a shame. How are you supposed to retain people, encourage people to join your organization, if you can't provide them with, one, the equipment they need to protect themselves, and two, what verification, the tax breaks, license plates. Why can't you give volunteers a license plate break? No, we don't do that. Why would we do that? I mean, I come from West Virginia, and West Virginia, everybody says, well, it's backwards, it's West Virginia. But I'll be honest with you, West Virginia is actually farther ahead than Pennsylvania. and all this stuff. And I've experienced it. I lived it. When I came here, I was ashamed. I actually went down to join my local fire department in Chartiers. You know what they told me? You're old and you're disabled. We don't want you. I said, but I can write grants. Yeah, you can't fight fire. We don't want you. So now I'm the emergency management coordinator for Canonsburg. And that's what I do now. So that kind of retention thing here, and I look through all this stuff to find out what the volunteers and what emergency responders and first responders actually get in Pennsylvania alone. Nothing. Is there anything on the horizon? To be honest with you, seriously doubt it. And if it does pass, it's going to have so much red tape around it, you won't be able to figure it out for the next 10 years anyway. When it should be easy. You should be able to get money for retention of your people, if not in equipment, but for some of the things, workman's compensation, that's not cheap. That's all you have in the volunteer system. You have workman's compensation. If you work $100,000 a year job and you're a volunteer and you get hurt and you can no longer work, what's that going to do to your family? What's it going to do to your income? What's that going to do to your life? It's going to submarine everything you've ever worked for your whole entire life. Because you volunteered for your community, and your community and state and federal government turned their back on you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sorry. I get very passionate about these things.
That's good.
The last thing that really irritates the living hell out of me is all the volunteer firemen have to use a blue light. I don't know about you, but 20, 30 years ago, firemen went to a fire. Pretty much it. Maybe a car wreck. That was it. Do you know what firemen do today? I'm not sure whether you're paid or volunteer. You do literally everything a cop don't want to do. You respond for emergency calls, medical, rescue, search and rescue, fires, hazardous materials, alarm calls. You respond for all these things. And you're expected to cut through traffic with a blue light, no siren, and you're expecting everybody to pull out of your way so you can get to your vehicle with the equipment to save somebody's life in a timely manner. I've seen them come through Chartiers, and it's a shame because I would see the blue light, and it's like a blue light special at old Kmart. We ain't moved, we're to gather around and see what the hell it is. A red light and siren in West Virginia means you better move over because this guy or girl is going to the scene of something that's an emergency that they need to respond in a timely manner. This blue light thing, and I've read all the law that was discussed in this. Basically, that blue light's like putting your turn signal on. How many people respect the turn signal? Not very many. And consequently, that blue light's about as important as that turn signal. It's time that they give the first responders the equipment they need to work with, to respond with, and the equipment to actually save lives and property. That's not being done today. And I feel for a Pennsylvania fireman because when I was fire chief, I had a radio in my car, I had a red light, and I had a siren, an audible siren. And when I was running down the street, people got out of my way because they knew I was going somewhere to save somebody's life, property, respond to a wreck, hazardous materials incident, whatever it may be. And I needed to get there quick enough to be able to moderate the amount of damage that's done or save somebody's life. In a drug overdose, how many minutes do you have in a drug overdose to respond to give the drug Narcan? Not that long. Usually by the time you get your blue light, you get to the station, you get in your vehicle, you start it, you go out the door and you get to the house, they've already gone into cardiac arrest based upon how long it takes. That red light cuts down minutes to respond. Right now, as far as I know, only the chief and assistant chief, correct me if I'm wrong, are the only ones that are allowed to have red light and a siren. How many chiefs and assistant chiefs actually do the job? They supervise, they respond, they help. Don't get me wrong. But that's two people. And if one of them's on vacation or both of them are on vacation, you've got lieutenants, you got captains, you got some of them have sergeants. They don't get red light. They get the little blue light. And they take time. Those are my subjects that I talked about that are dear to my heart, that I had actually brought to everybody's attention because we've been shortchanged as first responders. Hey, I felt shortchanged when they told me, hey, you're old and you're disabled. We don't need you. When I was a fire chief, I took people in that were photographers. I took people in that were accountants. My fire department, my budget as a volunteer fire chief was $1 million. Because we had the small business grouping that helped us. We had storage sheds that we raised money with. We built storage sheds. I had full-time employees that worked for me that managed the storage sheds and rental properties. Because you know how many bingo people have to work? You gotta have a minimum of 5. If you got a big one, super bingo, you gotta have 10. How many times can you get 10 people once a week, twice a week, whatever it may be? My storage sheds, we put them up. They were full. They paid for literally everything that we did. We diversified. You have to run it like a business. Fire department is no longer just a fire department. You're no longer just a fireman. They're expecting you to accomplish and do and be anywhere that they need you at any time. When they drop that phone from 911, they're expecting you to be there within a couple minutes to a couple seconds. And even though you might take 5 minutes to get there, it's 20 minutes to them. And if you don't have the funds and you don't have all the things that you need, and especially the membership, and like I said, a membership needs to be diversified as well. In my membership, I had a CPA that we hired. We had a lawyer on retention because we ran a business. We had an LLC. And that's how we generated our money. We didn't work bingo anymore because we had a hard time getting enough guys to work bingo. So we diversified. We opened up businesses. I know in Pennsylvania, I've been to a couple of firemen's clubs, but they actually, you walk in and it's a bar. I don't condone that too much, but because a lot of the firemen like to go in there and the bell goes off and they go in the other door. But this is what we're at today. If our government doesn't step up soon, we're going to lose first responders as they are today. And the more requirements that they levy on you, and every year they come up with, oh, you got to take this class, you got to take that class. When I became emergency management coordinator for Gamsburg, they sent me a list of classes. It costs money in my time. And I'm a volunteer. That's not a paid position, by the way. And they say, you have to have all these classes. Unfortunately, I've already had them. But a new one that comes in, they don't. That's basically my spiel. I've got all the facts. I Xerox copies of them. I'll leave them with you if you want to look through them. I did.
We have any questions for Scott?
I
There's
just
a
have
lot of
one.
interesting
I know-
things.
I know here in Cumberland County, Green County, they ran into a big issue with EMS Southwest, Valley that.
Mhm.
That all got worked out and I think it's running fairly well. I don't hear any complaints like that. But one thing that did come up is the new restrictions, the new testing that they have for EMTs. I guess the standards have changed and I'll let somebody who's knows more about that speaker, but apparently it's much harder to pass an EMT exam than it used to, and but they still use the old people to teach the new class. So I'm not really sure how that's going. Do you have any insight on that?
The only insight that I have, as time changes, for example, for paramedics, you have new drugs, you have all kinds of new things that come out, new utensils that you can use in your job. That I understand. But when you start making these CEUs, continuous hours that you have to keep up, and the classes that you have to continuously take year after year, most of these people have a job that they work at. And it's very hard, and especially if you're a volunteer, it's even harder. And yes, they have raised the standards, thinking that they're raising the standard of care, when in essence, I mean, I'm a CPR instructor for American Heart, and I teach heart saver CPR, first aid, AED. They try to change that every couple of years and do different things. But when you make things harder for people, people will not do it.
Yeah.
And it's the same way as your firefighter classes. They always change the firefighter classes that you have to have, or your chief officer classes. They always say you have to upgrade this or upgrade that. They're driving the point so hard, trying to make things better and more efficient in their eyes, when they don't realize the people that are actually doing the job, they're depleting the numbers by that.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think Cumberland County does a fairly good job of supporting the fire department as much as possible. And I think the supervisors are all on board with that. But it's hard getting EMPs. It's
Yes.
hard. It's really, really hard. Chemical and fire department,
Three guys take, not one of them passed the first time, not one. And it hasn't changed much, but they can do the same thing. The test got harder, but they're still doing the same treatment when they go out.
Yeah.
you know, and we recently lost Crucible Fire Department over the last couple of years because of retention. I mean, they didn't have anybody who was able to fight a fire. Even if the whistle blew, they would have to stand there and wait for fire. You know what I mean? Like, it made no sense for it to.
Hey, Scott, Scott, come back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Being from Pennsylvania and a paramedic, former firefighter, what they're asking, I know exactly what they're asking. The problem is there is so much more. When I was a paramedic, all the stuff they're doing now, I never did. They're doing 1280 kgs. I didn't do that. I put a monitor on, I saw normal sinus rhythm or feedback, and that was about it. So there is a lot more. There's Con Ed. I didn't have Con Ed when I was doing it. If you're working on an ambulance, you're getting Con Ed. It's on the spot training. Now they have to go pre-hospital setting or go to the hospital to IVs. You know, you have so many IVs you have to do in a month or a year or whatever. If you don't get them, you have to go to the hospital, practice with the phlebotomist. You know, there's all kinds of things these guys are doing. Like they said, they're volunteers. They have jobs. They're going to school. They're doing, you know, they have other things going on.
What
Businesses.
What is the training? How long is the training?
Oh,
Now training, not your past training.
okay, my training, when I took it, 2 years to become a paramedic.
Right.
I had to do, I don't even remember the hours.
You actually got a degree.
I got a degree.
You got a degree, like
Yes.
I did.
Correct.
Yes.
I had to do hospital time on top of ambulance time, on top of tests, on top of BLS, ALS, PALS, all the different things you had to have on top of that. PALS is pediatric advanced life support.
And it expires.
And it expires. You have to redo it every 2 years. CPR, you got to redo it every 2 years. You know, I could do CPR in my sleep. I've done it on more real people. It's just unbelievable. You got to keep taking it, keep taking it, keep taking it. People don't have time for that.
This is the whole point of these committees I keep talking about. The advisory committees for the EMS, for the firemen, for the police, to meet once a month, to go over these things, to get it to the legislators, to say, okay, this isn't working, this is not right, we're losing our EMS, we're losing our population of first responders, because that's what's gonna happen. We're already
It's
doing
happening.
it's happening
It's
now,
happening.
and it's happening with the state police too, and it's happening with counties. Nobody wants to do it. It's a thankless job. All they do is get ridiculed. Not as much in our area as some of the other surrounding areas where there's integration problems, but it's still, it's another part of our declining population.
Brian just touched on it. So we used to have an ambulance in Carmichael's Fire Department.
Mhm.
No more. All these volunteer ambulance services that are trying to service their communities. Who we got? Jefferson, Rice's Landing, Nemacolin, Barksville stuff in ambulance? Did they ever recruit? Okay. Other than that, there's no more ambulances in the volunteer service. So you're gonna rely on the aid departments who are fighting to get rid of the rest of the volunteers. They want them out. They should let them help. Hey, call them. They got ALS. Jefferson's ALS, Rice Landing's ALS, Nemacolin's ALS. They just need more people that are paramedics or willing to volunteer to go and run on an ambulance call. They're not getting it. And they're gonna end up at the wayside if it keeps up the way it's going.
Every problem has a solution.
I agree.
Everyone.
And fire departments are actually responding to EMS calls on a constant basis. You take a $500,000 truck to a boo-boo call. Seriously? Or a ladder truck? In the town I come from, they took a ladder truck. You know how much a ladder truck costs?
They'll never take a truck to Nemacolin.
He just made a statement, it's a problem, you can solve that. Well, when the paid department can't make the call, there's no reason to call the fire department. There's an ambulance 3 miles away and they won't call. There's your problem.
Why can't we have tax credits for the firefighters? Why can't we have incentive programs for the first responders, the unpaid first responders? It's pretty simple, right?
But
It would be a lot.
what I think they're saying is not so much worried about a tax credit for a volunteer, worried about even having your volunteers. That's what's gonna happen.
Well, you have to create a program that you're gonna bring those people.
But what he's asking you is you got paid services that are trying to eliminate these guys. So if we call an ambulance today, we call 911 right now, somebody went down, we need an ambulance. They don't have one in service. Why can't our 911 county call Nemacolin, call Rice's Landing? They have ambulance. They can respond. They don't do that.
Gotta set a mutual aid up with them. Set mutual aid up. So we have to set them. So why aren't they doing it then? As long as you have mutual aid set up, that's supposed to be the sequence that goes, whatever they call it ambulance out. And they don't do it? Better now.
Yeah.
It was. As it used to be when I was still in the fire department too, we always had a mutual aid with Waynesburg. If they needed something, they couldn't get a crew.
We worked, I mean, I'm speaking just of Cumberland. I mean, years ago when this all happened, we went through and redefined who gets called, when they get called. Now, we do run into scenarios where Fayette goes out, they do a call, they'll backfill a truck. You know, instead of going to the local volunteer fire department after that. 6 of 1, half dozen of the only thing I care as a municipal official is let's get the care. You know what I mean? Let's
Right. Doesn't matter who it is, who gets that.
Correct. But it's been working okay. It's working better than it ever has before, I think, at this point in time. What I fear about is once you get on the other side of 79, outside of Waynesburg, they don't exist.
No.
There are no more fire departments. There are no more ambulances. If you have a heart attack in Spring Hill, or whatever, Jackson,
Yeah.
hey, good luck.
Oh, yeah, we had to run out to New Freeport when we were working for Gems. We had to go all the way out to New Freeport.
Yeah.
That's over an hour drive even with red lights on.
It's.
Person's gone.
Radio contact.
They would not call West Virginia in to come that were 4 miles away.
And we were told at that time, before we bring things 4 miles, why would they go?
Exactly.
We were told by certain people, I'm not gonna throw anybody under a bus, is learn to expect 40-minute ambulance calls.
At least.
We were
At least.
told that. And Township Supervisor said over my dead body, we're not gonna deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's why we started, LST money or our per capita tax goes right to our local volunteer fire department. So you know what I mean? We start pushing money to make sure that they can still survive in any way, shape, or form.
See, that's why these town halls, and obviously I know this is a little bit political with me, but I love town halls. I love talking to people and I love the feedback you get. And you start seeing problems, issues, and then you can get solutions to these things. When you hide, Buck needs.
The gentleman in the back had his hand up.
I was just saying, ask the question why the state allows paid EMS emergency services, period. Why they're allowing them to drive out volunteers. And once you ask that question, you'll answer just about every question in here.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I'm from Weird, West Virginia. Weird, West Virginia had 3 volunteer fire departments, 75 active volunteer firemen. The IAFF, which is the union for the paid firemen, which is 5 people on duty at one time.
Okay, guys, we gotta take.
Beat us
Gotta
to
get out
death.
of here.
And they get away with 3 volunteer fire
Live stream
departments. There is 1 paid,
for
5
Butchtan.
people on duty. When you
We're gonna
could
be
get
following
20
him
to
through this
50
election
volunteer
cycle.
firemen from
So I
3
wanna
fire
thank him.
companies inside
I want to thank
the
Chris Dogg from the
They did away
Forgotten
with all of
Flag
it.
Foundation.
They thought they were gonna take
And
all of our
hopefully we're
money.
gonna get some more
We don't want
interviews
to
with him and see what
Guess
we
what?
can do for
They didn't
Chris
get
and the
squat.
Forgotten Flag
All the
Foundation. Make sure you go to his
volunteer fire
website,
departments for $1.
Forgotten Flag Foundation.org. Donate to them
Did all of our
so that
funding
young enough to get
when they get away
designated
for our
flags.
charter.
It does not happen anymore.
volunteer departments
So I
outside
want
the
to
city
thank
limits.
Butchie for having me here.
But now you
We'll
have
see what's going
you
on
have to run
later
mutual
on
aid
down the road.
with
I gotta
Scooter,
get back for my 9 o'clock show. That's what we're gonna be doing now.
West Virginia,
And
in order to get.
catch up with Butchie later down the road before the election
And
comes.
it's no different here.
And we're gonna get everybody out we can to vote for them. So until then, guys, I'll see you at 9 o'clock
Here.
for the regular show of the Conservative Viewpoint. Make sure you tell everybody to come enjoy.
To these problems.
Good night, everyone.
Just for instance,
This has been the Conservative Viewpoint. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. See you on the next show. Have a great night.